The last Super Sentai show I talked about had Goggle in its title, but lacked any in the show proper. This show is the reverse. It has goggles in the show, but none in the title. Anyway, let's get to the review.
Choushinsei Flashman.
A brilliant burst. Choushinsei Flashman. Hello and welcome to Earth Alien ProtoMet. Today I'll be taking a look at Choushinsei Flashman, the 10th entry in the Super Sentai series, and the last entry to not include the word Sentai in its title. At least until the high school heroes, but that's a spin-off for another time. So, does Flashman shine like the supernova in its title, or does it fizzle out? In 1966, 5 babies were kidnapped from their families on Earth for nefarious reasons. Thankfully, the children were rescued by the inhabitants of the Flash solar system, who raised the space orphans into adulthood. 20 years later, the kidnappers, Reconstructive Experiment Empire MESS, a group that conduct twisted genetic experiments in an attempt to create the ultimate lifeform, have set their sights on Earth once more. Upon learning this, the orphans band together and steal a starship to travel back to their homeworld. Seeking to not only protect their home, but also find their lost families, these youths battle against MESS as Choushinsei Flashman. One of the details that I really enjoy about this show, which you'll probably notice throughout this review, is that the space orphans spend much of the early season wearing the outfits they got from the Flash system, but as the series progresses, they start to wear casual clothes for the time as they grow accustomed to life on Earth. It's a really nice touch. For the first time in Super Sentai history, the Flashman team have powers even when they're not transformed, which is the result of the training they experienced in the Flash system. Okay, technically Red 1 and Bioman had civilian powers, but none of the other members of the Bioman team had any, and even then, that was just voice actors talking over footage of animals. The Flashman team's power rely on actual special effects work, and each member has noticeably different powers, making them far more memorable. While this isn't the first series where the Ranger powers come from space, it is the first season where the team are given such powers as opposed to being born with their powers, like in Denziman and Bioman. Their Ranger powers are derived from the prisms embedded in their helmets, so they live up to the Flash portion of their name. Plus, each member has different weapons that tie into their civilian powers, such as Lou's prism boots, which give her levitation powers more of a kick. They're supported by a robotic companion, Mag, who lends his knowledge to helping maintain their equipment and, of course, their giant robot. Another first this season has is the very first second robot acquired by the team for use in the obligatory giant robot battles. And the storyline surrounding their acquisition of this new mech was good enough that several of the episodes were cobbled together to make a second theatrical film tied to the show, the first being not much more than an extra adventure that could have been an episode of the show. But beyond gaining another robot, the storyline also has a lasting impact on the rest of the season, presenting a mysterious weakness the Flashman team has to discover before it's too late. This brings us to the villains. Of course, MESS are the main threat, led by the obligatory wall-mounted master, La Deus, utilizing the genetic material they've gathered throughout the universe to create a wide variety of horrific monstrosities, all crafted by the great doctor Lee Keflin. Below him are his strongest creations, Lewanda, a vain warrior who, much to his own horror, was crafted from a bunch of ugly creatures, played by Yutaka Hirose, who would go on to play a number of other villains in later entries in the Super Sentai series. Le Nefel, a cat-like warrior who commands a pair of other cat-like soldiers, Wolk and Kilt, and who's played by Sayuko Hagiwara, who had previously played Dinah Pink, but that's a topic for another video, which I already made, so go check that out. Finally, we have the Bestiaux Legals, the only one of the generals not to be played by a face actor, and they clearly didn't know what to do with him because he's the first one to be killed off halfway through the show. But they aren't the only villains, as there's also the Alien Hunters, a team of bounty hunters led by Sir Cowler, played by Joji Nakata, who, like Hirose, went on to play other villains in later Super Sentai seasons. It's revealed that the alien hunters were actually the gang that had originally kidnapped the space orphans from Mess, and as such they are shown working alongside Mess on many occasions. But that doesn't mean that the two groups always see eye to eye, as the alien hunters have their own agenda independent of Mess, and they are a force to be reckoned with. But then we get back to the secondary plotline of the series, the search for the families of the space orphans. As the show progresses, it presents a number of characters who may or may not be related to the young warriors. But in addition to episodes dedicated to the space orphans seeking clues about their lineage, there are also plenty of moments, especially early on, in which the young warriors find themselves being fascinated or bewildered by the homeworld that they've never had the chance to experience. And it gives the audience a chance to see things we find so common that we take for granted in a new light through the eyes of people who have never seen the wonders that exist in our everyday life. When I first got into Super Sentai, I wasn't really able to watch much of these Showa-era shows, and as a result, I didn't really think very much about these early seasons, Flashman included. But in the years since, I've had the opportunity to watch through all the classic seasons, and by far Flashman grew to be one of my favorite seasons from this time period. What especially engrossed me, though, was the climax of the series, which I won't spoil, but it does end on a pretty epic note. I strongly recommend checking out Choushinsei Flashman, and until next time, I'm ProtoMet. See ya!